How's it going, y'all? Navy Sooner here. Today, we're going over a budget 9mm for SHTF. While in the past I have discussed that handguns are not the primary firearm that you need in SHTF, and I don't think that they are going to be playing as big of a role that you think, that some people may think in SHTF, I still think that they are a tool. And this is a dagger, and it's a good tool. Some people want to write off Palmetto State Armory as if they are just too cheap to make anything that's worthwhile. And to those people, I say, okay, don't buy them. But there are good reasons to buy stuff from Palmetto State Armory. And the stuff that they make actually is pretty dang good. Now, it's not a knight's armament. I'm sorry that it's not a $2,500 freaking best firearm out there. I know Knights is more than that, but still, Palmetto State Armory's stuff that has come out and over the years has gotten very, very good. Before we go on, I just wanted to let you know that I have affiliate links down below. If you would like to purchase anything from those affiliates, which is Bear Creek Arsenal, Palmetto State Armory, Monstrum Tactical, and Optics Planet, there are links down below. If you are just going to purchase something from there and you purchase something through my affiliate links, I do get a little bit of a kickback and it helps out the channel immensely. You don't have to purchase through my affiliates. It just would be nice if you did, to help out the channel if you like my content. What is the dagger? The dagger is a Glock 19 clone, kind of. It's chambered in 9mm and its trigger is similar to the trigger of a Smith & Wesson M&P, but everything else for the most part is Glock 19 clone-ish. They did do things to change up the way that the Glock is to make it more comfortable, in my opinion, and just put their own touch on it. When you purchase one of these, you can either purchase it as a full firearm, or you can do like I did, and I purchased the slide and the frame separately, and that made it very cheap. It was less than $350 for this shipped. Now, you still have to go through your FFL fees and all that stuff, but for that price, what this offers is very good. So we're going to go over the slide. It's got some lightning cuts here, which reduces the amount of felt recoil based on the less amount of mass that is recoiling back and forth. You have an arm arc cut here, which I have a Holosun 507C on it. Then you can have suppressor height sights here. They have some that don't have suppressor height sights. They also have some that don't have arm arc cuts on them. They have other cuts, or there's just no cuts whatsoever for optics. It's very customizable at Palmetto State Armory, so that's very nice. Then this one has a threaded barrel. You can get them out without threaded barrels. I believe they might be cheaper. You have to go there on their website and look at it, but they have many different options for their slides. Now the frame here. The frame obviously is different than a Glock's frame. They have changed the way that the grip is because, I mean, Glocks just don't fit in my hand very well because of my small dick beaters. This fits in my hand a lot better. Not quite as good as my PDP-F or my P10F as well, but I mean, it's still very, very good, and it feels better in my hand than a normal Glock. It is based off the Gen 3, so you only have a mag release and slide release on the left side of the firearm, as opposed to having a way to swap around the mag release. So if you're a lefty like me, you have to do the whole reach up and release like that, and then you reach up and release like that if you want to, or just charge it like you're grabbing it like normal. The trigger on it, like I said, it's more of a Smith & Wesson style with the hinge here rather than like a dongle thing type thing that Glock normally has. But the brake on it feels more like a Glock brake. There is a little bit of play because of the hinged trigger, but other than that, when you pull it, it feels more like a Glock trigger. And you can go in and put in Glock triggers, other Glock triggers, if you would like to change out that trigger. Now, the only problems I've had with the firearm is if I'm using a Magpul magazine, it is hard to get it into the mag well, seat it all the way if the slide is not locked to the rear. If the slide is locked to the rear, that's not a big deal. Now, one issue that I did find with these Glocks, with the Glock mags, actual Glock mags, is if you put it in, it's hard to get it to release. You have to like jiggle it out, and I just There, you have to jiggle it out, or you gotta pull it out. But I mean, that's with a full magazine. If you have an empty magazine, with this one, if I have an empty magazine, they fall out just fine. Now, what is the use case for a dagger? Well, obviously, somebody that's on a tight budget that wants to get into shooting, that would be a great handgun to set them up with, or to tell them to look at for their first firearm, the first handgun that they would like to purchase. Because of the price, the fact that I haven't had any issues with this gun whatsoever. There have been issues in the past, I think a long time ago, with the striker pin breaking, but I think they might have had that figured out. But me personally, I've not had any issues with this. Granted, I've only put about 500 rounds through it. There's a lot, you can put a lot more through it to make sure that it's worthwhile if you want to, but for me, 500 rounds, I felt like I got a good representation of what the dagger was. And so, like I said, someone that is new into shooting on a budget, that'd be great option for them. Now, also, if you already have your own handguns, but you're more wanting to have something to hand out to somebody if the world were to end, the world were to go to shit, SHTF, whatever you want to call it, and someone that you trust and is in your group needs a handgun, you can hand this off to them. Or if you are trying to if you're trying to make sure that your community is prepared and you want to have extra ones to hand out to the community if it's need be, then this is a great option because it's not break the bank pistols. And finally, the cachet firearm. Since it is such a budget-friendly firearm, you can throw it in a cachet and you don't have to worry about it because it's not that expensive. I'm not going to go take my PDP here. I'm not going to take my PDP and go throw it in a cachet because this is nice, and then I train with this one quite a bit, especially for concealed carry. Now, my setup that I have here, I already told y'all that I have a 507C X2 on here. Then I have a light, which is the Warriorland Crossbow MA2, which I did a video on whenever they reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to test out this light. And it also fits into the Glock 19 holster that they have. Speaking of holsters, some holsters will not work with this for the Glock 19, and that's because of the way that the trigger guard is. Now, if you put a light on there and there's a light ready holster, then you shouldn't have any issues with it. I haven't had any issues with holsters. This is the Warriorland Kydex holster that I have for Glock 19, so that fits just great. And then my Safariland that I have here fits just great. This is for Glock 17, but I mean, really, Glock 17, Glock 19, Safarilands work just fine. Comes out. The one problem that I have had on the Safariland is if you don't get it pulled out all the way, it will get stuck on these lightning ports. So other than that, I can draw this just fine, fast enough, and I'm not having any issues with that. But if you don't draw it fast enough, you will have some issues. All right, so what's my final thoughts about the dagger? I think it can fit many different roles at a great price. It's a good budget option for all those different roles. It's a good gun. I haven't had any issues with it except for those small issues with the Magpul magazines and then the magazine falling out from a Glock magazine. Other than that, it's been a great gun. Hadn't had no issues, no stoppages, and yeah. So that's it for the Palmetto State Armory Dagger. If you like the video, go ahead and hit the like, share, and subscribe button. And then there's a way to donate to the channel if you'd like to. You don't have to, but there are other ways to donate to the channel down below. Navy Center out.